today's reading is from Lamentations 3, verses 19 through 33. And if you haven't read the passage yet, I want to encourage you to pause the video and do that right away. Now, some backdrop to what we read. Jeremiah the prophet is lamenting, hence the name of the book. He's got this tearful confession and realization over the fact that the city of Jerusalem is destroyed and the temple is destroyed along with it. The reason for that is because the Israelites had been sent into exile because they'd walked away from the covenant. They'd really abandoned any sort of allegiance to God, and instead of doing life His way, obeying the commandments, they'd pretty much done life their own way and whatever they wanted. So because of that, God sent them into exile to wake them up from the stupor that their sin had created. But as a result of that, the city's in ruins, and so is the temple. And so Jeremiah is lamenting that. He's looking at this visual reminder of their own sin. That sin always leads to destruction, and now here's this visual reminder of that in front of him. But even in the midst of that, Jeremiah says, in verse 21 of our text, "Yet I still dare to hope when I remember this." Well, what? It tells us. When I remember that, here, the faithful love of the Lord never ends. His mercies never cease. Great is His faithfulness. His mercies begin afresh each morning. So think about it. It's one thing to say those kinds of things when life is in order and everything's as it should be. It's quite another thing to say those things when life is not as it should be. When you're staring at a heap of rubble. When you're staring at destruction that your sin has caused. Broken relationships. Feelings of emptiness and loneliness. Really struggling to find your purpose or identity. It's quite another thing to say that God is faithful in those moments. Yet that's exactly what Jeremiah does. He says, I still dare to hope because I remember that God hasn't changed. Even when so much has changed around me, when this temple used to be standing here and now it's just a pile of rocks, even though that's changed, there's a lot of things, and specifically one thing that hasn't changed. God hasn't changed. His mercies are brand new, and when you're looking at a visual reminder of your sin, like Jeremiah was, you need those new mercies. You confess that you need them. See, the worst thing to do when you and I sin, when we rebel, when we do what we want instead of what God wants, the worst thing we could do is stay in that hole, stay in that spot and believe the lie that God doesn't want to have anything to do with us. That's not true. He loves you. You can't exhaust His love. He doesn't run out of love. He doesn't reach a point where He says, I've got nothing left to give you. His mercies never cease. He's continually drawing a brand new connection between your situation and His mercy. His mercies begin afresh each morning. That His faithfulness, it's steady. He is so consistent and so faithful. You can count on God even when you can't count on anything or anyone else. And so maybe that's the reminder you and I need today, that no matter what we've done, no matter where we find ourselves, no matter how much we wish things would be different, we can rely on His new mercy, His brand new mercies. He doesn't recycle His mercy. He doesn't take the leftovers out of the fridge. He's got new mercies for you and me today. So I hope that you will find that to be as encouraging as I do. Thanks.